guys, this is Varnell, fearpaintball.net. We just got our first order in from Flasc, first of many. This was the fairly large order. If you want to pan down, take a look. We've got a bunch of different barrels, different barrel threads, links, tips, all that in here. We'll get to that. We've got their brand new 20-inch barrel. You can get that in multiple threads and bore sizes and porting and such as well. This is not Flasc made. This is something that came off in Hander's bar. We'll show why that's on here in a little bit. But Flasc patch, 3-inch extension, just showing you, some things you can do with the extensions to add bipods and things like that. And they also make other things besides barrels and extensions and tips and all that. They also make remote lines, and you can get some BT clothing and some vests and stuff, other things like that too. So let's go ahead and tear into this kit and see what we got. Very, very nice barrel bag, or barrel kit holder, whatever you want to call this thing. Handle on it, nice Flasc logo, some padding. Zips open like so. On this side, we have all of the tips. We have the silencer tip, and we'll go into further detail and show you what these look like on barrels here in a little while. This is the silencer. This is the cannonizer. What this does is actually makes your shot louder. When you fire with this thing on, you'll see a significant increase in the sound your gun puts off. The blaster tip, the 4-prong G36 tip, and the wire cutter tip. They also make a BT Apex tip. We do not have one of those right now, but
we will. I'll be getting one.
Once we get in here, you can definitely expect a video on that as well. This is another extension. This is the 5-inch extension. These extensions, the 5-inch and the 3 inches, to show you the size difference. You can get them ported, unported, single porting, double porting, all that different stuff.
They also thread into each other.
Yeah. So you could add extensions on top of extensions. So you could have a 5-inch extension, a 5-inch extension, a 3-inch extension, and then like another 5-inch extension. You could basically, what these extensions let you do is build any size barrel that you want. So, I mean, you start with this 20-inch barrel, add the 5-inch extension, and now you have a 25-inch barrel. And these extensions are not like other extensions, say they're 5 inches, but they're really 3 inches or whatever. It's 5 inches from here. Once you put it on, it adds 5 inches. It doesn't add 4 inches plus, the threading, so it's actually a little bit shorter. When it says that it's a 5-inch extension, it extends the barrel 5 inches. Some of the companies, don't do that stuff. But moving along, that's the extension. Here we have a cocker threaded barrel, and just to show you just some of the barrels. All their barrels are double threaded, so you can put the tips on any of them, and they go up into humongous sizes such as this, which is 6.96 for the big ball shooters. So that's a cocker threaded 6.96. We also have a cocker threaded 6.90, double threaded. And you can see here, this is the older style barrel and this is the newer style barrel. And the older style barrel does not have this flare or whatever, I guess you want. It's just like straight shot. This one looks a little bit more fancy. But yeah, those are both cocker threaded, different bore sizes. Here they have A5, X7, TPX threaded, 687 double threaded again. And all these barrels you can get ported, unported, double ported, whatever you want. Just when you make your order with Flasc, let them know what porting you want. Here we have a T8, T9 barrel. You have the spot for your detents. This is not the first strike ready one, as the round. Still has the ball port, so you can see if it has ball ready to go. Double ported again. And when you get this barrel, for the TAC 8, it'll go right in. It replaces the stock barrel with no problems. When you go with the T9, we've noticed it's not necessarily a problem. With a little bit of work we can get it to work, But right out of the box, we noticed that with the T9, if you want to go, Ranger style without the front shroud or whatever, again, this barrel replaces that stock barrel. But if you want that full-out rifle T9 with the front shroud, we noticed when you put these barrel extensions on to make it long enough that this part right here, this little flare out, I don't know what else to call it, but the part that screws on to the next part is thicker than the rest of the barrel. And let me go grab this T9 real quick. And when you would go to put it in, we could get it in just fine, but it's a little bit tight right here first off, and then once you get it back into here, on the inside of the shroud, I won't take it all apart just because to get all these screws off and stuff would be a lot, but all these front shrouds have this little metal piece that's glued in right on the inside of the shroud right here, and this barrel extension will not go past it. You hit this, I guess it would be more like this going in. You hit this extension, the barrel cannot go in anymore. So if you want to use the Flasc barrel on your T9 with the front shroud, you're just going to have to break this glue off and get this little metal guide out. It does nothing except helps guide the barrel into the gun. You take it off, it's not going to cause any problems. So just unglue that, no more problems. Again, it's just a little bit tight on the front, but it goes in, snaps in. This is the T9 barrel with a 5-inch extension. It leaves just enough to thread on a tip just perfectly, so you don't have a lot of extra barrel on here. So I mean,
they are accurate. We just test fired these and they're freaking dead on.
yeah,
So
Flasc barrels are really awesome. Stay tuned. We're going to be testing all these out in an upcoming video in the next couple of days. So definitely stay tuned for that. If this isn't long enough, again, you could add another 5-inch extension right here, or 3-inch extension, and then put your tip on so your barrel's like a little bit longer, whatever you would want. This is just going for the G36 look, and it's pretty much dead on. So that is that. Another thing to point out is that Flasc does not use the standard threading of all the other barrels. I know the CP barrels, the Lapco barrels, the Tiberius barrels can all use the same tips. The Flasc barrels cannot use the same tips. The threading is just a little bit longer. What we have here is the Flasc 4-prong G36 tip, and here's the Lapco 4-prong G36 tip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Lapco G36 tip and screw it onto the Flasc one. It will screw on, and you can use it, but it's not as pretty as using a Flasc tip. Now Flasc tips are reasonably priced, so I mean there's no reason not to pick one up, but if you got a tip laying around, you can use it. But the only thing is if you got this extra threading here. So I mean from far away you're not going to be able to notice, but getting up close you got that extra threading there. It's nice and secure though, so it's not going to fall off. There's no reason why you can't use tips from anybody else from our experience. We haven't field tested it, but just from initially looking at it here, there's no reason why you can't use the Lapcos and the CP tips or the Tiberius silencer and all that stuff. It might not look as pretty, but it'll get the job done. So that's the barrels. Just looking at it, I don't know if you can see down there, but very, very nice mirrored finish. I don't see a difference between these and the Lapco ones. The finish on the inside is just as good. The quality of the barrel, super nice. And the best thing about the Flasc is that they're very reasonably priced. Super cheap for the awesome barrel you get. Definitely stay tuned for the test firing, the accuracy. We're going to be testing out the crap of the 20-inch barrel. A lot of people say, you don't want to go longer than 16-inch barrel, but Flasc is saying that this is the myth breaker. This is the 20-inch barrel that it does not, waste air and everything being this long. So we're definitely going to be testing it out and seeing if what they say is true on the 20-inch barrel. Stay tuned for the upcoming accuracy test of all these barrels and all the tips and showing you how to put them on, what they look like, and all that good stuff. So stay tuned for that. This is Varnell and Hander behind the camera for your payball.net, and thanks for watching. Alright, here's just another quick little snippet. Here's what the 20-inch barrel is going to be used on in Hander's super sexy BAR Tippmann X7, custom made by Eric Engler.